Hello and welcome. I am Vishal Dahiya and you're watching our special show, India Fights Back, where we talk about India's efforts to tackle the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, today we're going to talk about the recent surge in cases which is being witnessed in various states and the challenges due to this particular surge, the reasons behind that as well, and the solutions. What exactly do we need to do on the ground there? So 5 states of Maharashtra, Punjab, Karnataka, Gujarat and Madhya Pradesh have been reporting a surge in the COVID-19 daily new cases for the past few days now. The Home Ministry has recently instructed all the states and union territories to take necessary steps to promote COVID-19 appropriate behavior among people and ensure strict enforcement of safety measures to curb the rising cases of COVID-19 in the country. So we'll try and understand all those aspects which I mentioned earlier. And for more on this, we're joined by a distinguished panel. Let me first introduce our guest to you, beginning with Dr. Rakesh Agarwal. He is Director of Jawaharlal Institute of Postgraduate Medical Education and Research in Puducherry. We are also joined by Mr. Shashank Joshi, member of the COVID-19 Task Force. Welcome, both of you, gentlemen. And let me begin with you, Mr. Joshi. Let's start by understanding the ground situation in the state of Maharashtra, because the maximum number of cases being reported are from this particular state. So what's exactly the situation in the state right now, and which are the areas where, maximum numbers of these cases are being reported? And what's the latest figure which we are dealing with right now?
Oh, thank you, Vishal, for having me back here again. Very clearly, the situation in Maharashtra is grim. We are clearly on a red alert. There are various zones within Maharashtra which are red, orange and yellow. You know that around 6 weeks back in the regions of Vidarbha, which were less exposed to COVID and Marathwada, there was a exposure and a surge of COVID where the test positivity rate in a place called Amravati went up to almost 53%. And the isolates from there was potentially thought that it was a strain which was an unusual strain, and that analysis is still going on. But from there, these clusters were seen, and a lot of clusters kept on spreading in the parts of Vidarbha right up to Nagpur, and in the parts of Marathwada right up to Aurangabad. The rest of Maharashtra also started reporting week by week an exponential rise in cases. And in Mumbai and MMR region, you know that with the unlocking 6 to 8 weeks back, the local trains, which is the main nerve of transportation in Mumbai, the transportation people, which were around 8 to 9 lakhs, went up to almost 38 lakhs. So these were the several factors. But the main underlying factor was that particularly in the rural hinterland, there was a total lack of adherence to COVID appropriate behavior. No masking, no distancing, and that was probably the reason. But currently the situation is grim. We have recorded the highest number of cases yesterday, more than 25,000 in the state. Mumbai has reported more than 3,000. Pune has reported more than 5,000. Nagpur has reported around 4,000 cases. So we are definitely seeing that Maharashtra is already in the second wave of the pandemic. And clearly, we are on absolute red alert.
Okay. You gave us some figures about, Mumbai, Pune and a few other cities as well. But if you're looking at district-wise situation, then which areas have are bearing the maximum brunt this time around in the state of Maharashtra?
If you look at district-wise, it starts from Vidarbha region. It is Amravati, Akola, Nagpur, Yavatmal, Aurangabad, Jalgaon, Pune, areas around Pune, Mumbai, MMR region. These are the areas which are, reporting very high numbers of test positivity rate. Because fundamentally, we don't go by absolute numbers. We go by two numbers. One is the test positivity rate in that region, and that has crossed the 15% mark. And we also go by the case fatality rate. The only silver lining is that the recovery is around 90%, and the case fatality rate for this year has been around 0.5.
Okay. And if you compare that case fatality rate, Mr. Joshi, then how are you looking at those figures from the previous experience? Because overall, generally, if you're looking at the national figure, the case fatality rates are coming down.
That is very true, because in the current wave which we are seeing, the virus appears to be less virulent. It is rapidly transmissible. So we are seeing large amount of families. In one family, you will have suddenly 5 to 8 people who are infected, but they are recovering better. They are not getting very sick into the ICUs, or ICUs are not flooded. At the same time, also the death rate is very low. And if you compare it to last year, our case fatality rate in the beginning of March and April was as high as 8%. later on came down to around 2 to 3%. And that is still disturbing our numbers. So if you look at the compounded case fatality rate of Maharashtra, it is still around 2.5, while the national average is around 1.5. But if you look at just 2021 as a year, we are continuously sticking to 0.5 and rest of the country around 0.2.
Okay, but still those numbers are still the ones which obviously cause a bit of a concern here. Let me also bring in Dr. Agarwal. Dr. Agarwal, as Mr. Joshi was pointing out, the situation in Maharashtra is not, precisely good at this point in time. They're calling it the second wave grim situation, but that's not the only state when we're talking about the surge in cases. In fact, states like Punjab, Karnataka, Gujarat and Madhya Pradesh have also been, reporting this particular surge. So nationally speaking, Dr. Agarwal, what's the situation which we are looking at?
So if we see the cumulative numbers around the country, they are going up. We have seen, at least I would say in the last 10, 12 days, we have gone up from about 22,000 to about 40,000. Surely a large part of that increase is accounted for by these 5 states, but I think even in other areas, in general, things are going up. We are a large country. There would be variations. So what we have to look at is the overall number, and that is going up. And as a country, the problem is there.
Okay. Now there's one number which I'm specifically looking at, and I asked Mr. Joshi as well, as the case fatality number, because the number of positive cases is going up. But if you're looking at the national figures, that case fatality rate seems to have come down. Is the kind of situation which is there in Maharashtra in terms of case fatality rate exists in other states as well, or is this something which we should be okay with in terms of looking at the future plan to deal with this entire situation?
See, these rates, or what I would rather call as ratios, have 2 things, a numerator and a denominator, right? So it depends what you're calling as a case fatality rate. Death, everybody understands. But if there are deaths that are not diagnosed and are because of COVID, then the rate would appear to be low. However, there appears to be less problem with the numerator. The problem is much more with the denominator. What do you take at the bottom? If your diagnosis rate improves so that you are diagnosing a larger proportion of COVIDs, number of deaths wouldn't go high, increase higher. The rate would appear to be higher. On the other hand, if your testing is less and you're not picking up everybody, your case fatality rate would appear to be different. And that's possibly what happened in Bombay when we had a case fatality rate of 8% in the beginning. A part of it, at least, was because of that. A part of it was because medical facilities were not ready. A part of it possibly was that we did not understand as well how to treat this condition. So mortality rates, comparisons across time and across places becomes very difficult. It depends on what the denominator is. Secondly, when the case rate is increasing, cases appear first and mortality is on an average delayed by about 10 to 12 days. So we will have to, if we divide it by the number of people that are diagnosed today, then it becomes a problem. It always has to be looked at, a few days later. However, it is also possible that the virus, as Dr. Joshi very correctly said, in general, viruses do become less virulent at times as they go along, because they settle with their host, and it is truly possible that the mortality rate has truly come down. It's something that we will know as we go along over time. It's very difficult to comment today whether this means anything or it does not mean anything.
Okay, but that's one figure which we'll have to keep our eyes on very closely. Now, one more aspect, Dr. Agarwal, which Mr. Shashank also mentioned earlier in his responses, and that's something which we need to understand very clearly in terms of what exactly is the reason behind the surge in this case. Mr. Joshi was pointing out that in the rural areas, in the hinterland, of the Maharashtra, there were clear lapses in terms of, following up on COVID-appropriate behavior. Nationally speaking, Dr. Agarwal, would you agree that that's the sole reason why these numbers are increasing right now? Is there some additional factor as well, which we might not be adding on right now?
In medicine, in biomedical field in general, most of the things are multifactorial. We can see all over the country that there is a bit of fatigue setting in. We have large gatherings, we have wedding celebrations, birthday celebrations, kitty parties, or whatever you have. The number of people there is increasing. People had started avoiding unnecessary travel. That has again started. Adherence to masks is very low. People don't maintain distances. One can see people sitting together and eating when the masks come down and people's mouths and noses are very close to each other. Earlier, we were taking precautions such as if 4 people wanted to eat, they would sit at a distance. Now that's not happening. Not only rural areas, it's happening in urban areas too. We have to remember that it's a bit like when you take drugs for blood pressure comes down. But that doesn't mean you stop blood pressure treatment. Your blood pressure is low because you are taking drugs. Same way, our attack rates had come down because we were taking precautions. And if we don't take precautions, again, the disease rate will go up.
Okay, fair enough. That is the clear explanation out there. But Mr. Joshi, would you agree with Dr. Agarwal there that, one of the reasons behind people lowering their guard vis-a-vis the COVID-19 appropriate behavior is because of pandemic fatigue, which we're calling it. People seemingly have slowly, forgotten about the basic rules which all of us have to follow.
I would completely agree with Dr. Agarwal that there has been the total collapse in the mindset of people. People have got fatigued and tired and got a fatalistic view. And I think that is the biggest mistake people have done. Humans err, but when we know that COVID is predictably unpredictable, and we know that this is a very strange virus which will keep coming back, because all viruses, whether you like it or not, is a very slowly multiplying virus. It's an RNA virus. But it will mutate and it will come in some other form to come back and attack us. So I think virus will always get smarter. And these are simple things. I don't think there is something to get fatigued about. We just need to wear a mask. That's the best and the least we can do. Do be a little distant. Try to mention that simple things like sanitization we can't do. I think that's the least we can do. But people forgot that there is something called COVID from the months of November, December, and January. And that's the penalty at least Maharashtra is paying very heavily, and rest of the few states might pay. I wish and pray that rest of India doesn't have that challenge. See, COVID inappropriate behavior is seen across the country. And it's seen across the world because human beings are same everywhere. But you see what happened in Europe, you see what happened in UK, you have seen what has happened in Brazil and United States. Similarly, we should take some lessons from the East, like Japan, Taiwan, China, Thailand. They have had very low rates, Singapore, because they have tightly masked themselves. They've had no surges at all. So I think we need to be having zero tolerance on any of these COVID violators. And I'm very happy that the Ministry of Home Affairs has come out with some strict diktat for a zero tolerance on people who will not stick to COVID appropriate behavior. And just because others have not been so unlucky, I'm very happy that others, they don't have that little crazy strain. But suppose some strain completely quickly engulfs, we will again be back to square one. The other thing which I want to point out is that the public health apparatus of the rest of the country should not at all go on a slack mode. I think Maharashtra in some parts of rural hinterland did not do adequate testing. And if you don't test, then you don't pick up. And I think you need to keep the tempo of testing all the time on suspicion. And I think testing, tracking, treating policies which are standard public health measures, they should absolutely not be forgotten, at least in 2021. And another thing is that complacency due to vaccine. Because of vaccine, people thought COVID has gone or we have got a cure. And that is why people actually relax their guard more. And that is another problem which happened. I think whether you take vaccine, whether you had COVID or not, masking is going to be mandatory for 2021. Simple thing which you should tell. And I want to use your forum and medium to appeal to every Indian and every person on planet Earth that please keep masking in 2021.
Definitely, use of mask definitely is the best way forward to tackle this issue. And we'll talk about the issue of testing as well, how to go ahead and deal with that. But since we are on the COVID appropriate behavior, Mr. Joshi, and you referred to MHA's recent guidelines as well, we would like to know what exactly is being done by the state government in Maharashtra or the local administration on the ground to enforce these measures now that the situation seemingly is grim, in your own words?
So, couple of things. First is, we have tried to educate the people at large for, ensuring that they become responsible. So we have this me jawabdar or hamari jawabdari. Yeah, I am responsible. So I think citizens also should take up some responsibility on their own. All the time blaming the government is not a right attitude. Government is doing its job. They are doing their policing. They are fining the mask violators. They are trying their best to ensure that law and order is maintained. In many places, micro-containment strategy has been enforced. So enforcement measures will be in place. You will get stricter enforcement measures in all those people, particularly wherever there is unmasking. Like in restaurants is the one place where a lot of unmasking occurs. Strict enforcement, including filing of FIRs, has happened in cities like Mumbai. There is going to be random testing carried out. Even entry into malls will have random testing, which will be there. Eateries, markets, where there is a lot of crowding. And we are appealing to people at large to avoid crowds. But human behavior is human behavior. And the main thing is, of course, fining for masks. But I think people need to take their own responsibility. And remember, COVID is also a fatal disease. A lot of people lost their lives. A lot of people were having ventilators. A lot of people have been left with long COVID symptoms. Even today, we see patients. I saw a patient today who is still breathless after 8 months of COVID. And that's something which we need to recognize, that COVID is a serious disease. You can't take it so lightly. And it's important for everyone to realize it. People just thought a vaccine aa gaya, abhi sab theek ho jayega. That's not true. You need to continue masking and behaving appropriately. So I think government in Maharashtra has been very stringent. They have tried their best to, penalize and have a zero tolerance mechanism, and they are trying to do their best. But I think some degree of responsibility and behavior also should come from within the person. And I think a voluntary cooperation of individuals. We need to do more information, education and counseling, and a behavioral change in local language. And that type of approach is mandatory and necessary.
Okay, fair enough, Dr. Joshi. There, you're right. It's not only the onus not only lies with the administration or the government authorities, but with individuals and communities as well. There, Dr. Agarwal, I'd like to seek your opinion on this matter. The issue of ensuring that everybody follows COVID-appropriate behavior and enforcing the same as well. Because then, if we are talking about strict enforcement, then obviously we will have to go back to the lockdown days, because that's the best way. The government authorities can go ahead and enforce that sort of behavior, but ultimately that's also a loss for everyone.
So let me correct myself. I said a little while ago COVID fatigue. I think that was a wrong word. Possibly it is COVID callousness, COVID complacence, COVID laziness. That's what I would say. People have to learn, and there are two things. When you follow these procedures, you make yourself safe and you make others safe. And when you do not follow, you not only put yourself at risk, you also put others at risk. I think we have to move on to public shaming. Like when I am going around my institution, if I see anybody not wearing a mask, I do tell them that they need to wear their mask properly. Of course, there is a slight difference. I am older. I am head of the institution. People listen to me. But I think individuals need to start doing that to their colleagues, their co-workers, and that is when this would start. There is no point wearing mask which is not over the nose. The mask, it has to extend from right at the bridge of the nose to below the chin. Without that, the mask is not useful. The mask has to be kept when anybody is around. It cannot be that if 4 people have to eat meals, if they're going to take off masks, it doesn't help if they're sitting together and eating. They have to sit far away from each other. It's just a small thought about everything, thoughtfulness that would help. If you need to buy 4 things, it's better that you make a list and go out once to a shop and buy all 4 things rather than make 4 errands. Each of these small things reduces your risk. One has to, even those who are vaccinated have to be careful. Just because I get a cholera vaccine or a typhoid vaccine doesn't mean I'll drink dirty water. I still would like my water to be clean.
Definitely.
Just because I have a tetanus vaccine doesn't mean that I would not clean the wound. The doctor or you yourself would get your wound cleaned even though you are immunized against tetanus. Same thing is true here. Even if you are vaccinated, please, please, please follow the procedures. They are for our safety. They are for everyone's safety. This needs to be done. This needs to be done. There is no question about it.
Definitely. There is no two ways to say this particular thing, that has to be followed in letter and spirit, the COVID appropriate behavior, as Dr. Agarwal and Dr. Joshi both explained. Let's now move on to the testing issue out there. Dr. Joshi, I'd like to start with you, since you mentioned in your previous response about how there was laxity in the state of Maharashtra, specifically in rural areas on the testing and tracing aspect. Has that been accounted for and we are moving ahead? Because this is an issue which was flagged by none other than the Prime Minister himself, and specifically going in for the RT-PCR tests, which are considered to be the gold standard test.
So, very right. Clearly, two things are there. That in the beginning, the testing had come down. As Dr. Agarwal said, that he used that word fatigue when he meant complacency. But the fatigue in the healthcare sector also had settled a little bit. And at least in rural Maharashtra, the testing had dropped down dramatically. And once it was pointed out around 6 weeks back, when the surges started coming in clusters, then the testing was rapidly ramped up. As soon as the testing was ramped up, you saw a surge in the numbers. And that is so visible. The more you test, the more numbers were picked up. And that was quite palpable. And now Maharashtra is testing more than 1 lakh plus population. And even in Mumbai city, they are testing at least 30,000. Though we need to test in Mumbai city at least 60,000 people, 70,000 people per day. So as we exponentially increase the testing, it is clearly going to impact the pandemic. And the bigger problem is not just testing. If you test somebody positive, you need to do contact tracing 1:30. So 2 weeks back, we said that we need to do this contact tracing 1:30. See, the basic public health strategy for COVID is very simple. Test, trace 1:30 on contact tracing. After tracing, ensure that there is strict home isolation. People did not even follow home isolation in Maharashtra, Mumbai. In fact, it's a shame. I like the word public shaming, which Dr. Agarwal used. That, there was an actress in Mumbai city. On third day of her COVID, she went for going back on the studio for acting. And then, of course, the BMC found it out and she was penalized. But I think we need to take stringent measures. People were so callous in their behavior. And then after isolation, of course, prompt treatment. So all these 4 quadrants, whether it's testing, tracing, treating, isolation, all of them have to be followed in letter and spirit, and they have to be followed aggressively. As soon as aggressive testing was ramped up, and I think Maharashtra has already ramped it up exponentially now, you are seeing larger numbers. But beyond that, it still needs to double it up, I feel. Because the more you will test, the more you will detect, more you will diagnose, and more you will be able to contain it. Because then we need to go on the containment strategy. So I think standard public health, and we are back on our drawing board again, and we need to ensure that we can't afford another lockdown. And if you have to avoid a lockdown, we just need to have our public health emergency strategies in place, which is simply increasing the testing in an exponential way. That has happened partly now in the last 2 weeks, but I still think it needs to go up more.
Okay, there it is. Thank you so much, Dr. Shashank Joshi, as well as Dr. Rakesh Agarwal there, for sharing your very important and exact ideas as to how serious the situation is, as our panelists were pointing out, in certain parts of the country, and specifically in states like Maharashtra. And that should give us an idea as to where we are wrong, what exactly needs to be done. And one very important aspect of that from public health perspective is adherence to COVID-19 appropriate behavior. No laxity on that part is acceptable for your safety and for the safety of everyone else as well. So before we leave, let us remind you once again of the 3-step simple process of COVID appropriate behavior. First is you need to wear your mask at all times when you step out of your house. Also, please ensure that you follow hand hygiene regimen, wash your hands regularly, and follow physical distancing as well of up to 6 feet from others when you are in public domain. These 3 simple steps will go a long way in ensuring your and your near and dear ones' safety and others as well. So please follow these guidelines. We'll come back again with a different aspect of India's battle against COVID-19. Till then, keep watching. Thank you.